Thank you for taking my call. Congressman, I'm a veteran. I've been using the VA health system for over 20 years. I've had colonoscopies done. They found a polyp. Thank God hasn't turned cancerous yet. So I've had a few colonoscopies done. I get an annual physical every year. I've had a couple surgeries, and they've never billed me or charged me for anything. But since Trump's team has taken office, I've had 2 doctor visits, and now I've gotten a bill for $50 copayment for each of those visits. Is this something I can expect now, a $50 copayment? And do you know why this started?
I can't tell you why it started. What I can tell you is we're facing a number of attacks that are even greater than what you're mentioning when it comes to the VA system, because there is, I think, a true effort to privatize the system. So we started out with the so-called Choice Act because some people supposedly weren't getting good care. You know, we recognize the system in Arizona had bad management. In Wisconsin, at Toma, we had a problem with the prescription of opiates. But the vast majority of the VA system runs very, very well, and people get great care out of it. In fact, my Tea Party uncle in Colorado, who followed me around at a wedding once telling me everything that was wrong with the federal government, at the very end said, "But leave my VA alone." So we understand that there's the value to it. Our fight right now is just fighting back against these little slippery slope bills to nick away and nick away and nick away, and eventually you won't have a functioning VA system. So keep vigilant and make sure you're reaching out to your representatives in Oregon, Bobby, about these bills because it's important that we hold the votes tight so that they don't destroy our VA system.
Scott in Xenia, Ohio, you are on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Good afternoon. Congressman, thank you for your service to your country, and Tom, thank you for the service you do every day.
My pleasure.
I am petrified of the right using Harvey as a political football. Legislatively, what can you do to keep them from boxing you into a corner when you vote for the relief for it by keeping off things like the wall or like tax breaks for the rich or the typical right-wing stuff that they're trying to do legislatively right now?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for your comments, Scott. And we're going to have to be vigilant on whatever they may do to try to put a package together. As you said, we've got to. This is the month we have to keep government open or face a shutdown. And everything from flood insurance could be attached, perhaps the wall, although I think they can still do that through the budget process. I don't think tax breaks would be able to, but you're right to be watching for everything. We're going to have to do that. I mean, it's important that we take care of everyone who's been affected by Harvey, but if they try to politicize that, we have to be able to stand up and have that backbone to make sure we're doing not just the right thing for the people of Texas and Louisiana, but also making sure that they don't pull a fast one on the American people.
Patrick in Seattle. Hey, Patrick, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hi, Tom and Congressman Pocan. Thank you so much for your time and information. I'm calling about the issue of gerrymandering, and it seems like, yesterday there was an article in New York Times about the impact of Republican-controlled state houses strengthening their grip on their electability, and I'm just curious what the Democratic Party is doing to offset that trend.
Yeah, Patrick, great question. Gerrymandering is why we have a Tea Party, or their ability to continue to have power. Gerrymandering is why in Wisconsin we had 100,000 more votes for Democratic candidates for Congress, but they have 5 of the 8 seats in Wisconsin, and it's even worse in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Ohio. Gerrymandering is taking away that really one vote per person balance because they're selecting who votes for them rather than the other way around. So luckily, we're seeing Barack Obama and Eric Holder stand up nationally doing a bunch of work around this. It's very, very important work. We've got bills in Congress, but won't become law with a Republican House and a Republican Senate. But we're trying to do everything we can to talk about it. In Wisconsin, there's a major case that's before the Supreme Court right now. We're anxiously waiting for those results. I think in October we should see those. But you pegged it right. Gerrymandering and those state legislatures is so important in the next 2 election cycles. We have to pay attention to those legislative races because that's where the lines are drawn for both Congress and state legislative seats.
Paul in Denison, Texas. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Thank you, Tom. And Congressman Pocan, it's an honor to speak with you, sir.
Thank you.
My question today has to do with organized crime, actually. I mean, now that we've elected essentially an organized mob boss as a president, and our Justice Department is now being run by this mafia. What steps can Congress begin to take to begin to actually rein in corporate power and put a stop to the monopoly and duopolies that we're seeing in every industry? And it just seems like things are kind of snowballing out of control.
Yeah, Paul, great concerns. And let me answer it in this way. I was heartened to see in the House and Senate Democrats' proposal for a better deal they put out there, one of the major focuses that they understood that's important that when we talk about economics, because that is the driving issue that unfortunately I don't think got the attention it needed to in 2016, is the antitrust laws that quite honestly came in under Bill Clinton and have now gone to a really terrible spot where we have consolidation in industries. There's a reason why one major airline was able to drag someone off a plane is because there's only a few major airlines to even choose from. And that's true in big real estate firms, big banking firms, go down the list. And it's those antitrust laws that often on the board of directors within a few industries have the same people on the boards of directors. So all the decisions are made to make sure they're enriched and not money put back into the company or the employees. So I was heartened to see that was one of the major planks of that better deal proposal. We are working on Mark DeSaulnier from California, Debbie Dingle from Michigan, Don Norcross from New Jersey, and myself, a future of work, wages, and labor project that we're putting out at the end of the month, and that's one of the major parcels of that. There's some good work happening to make sure that's more getting more public attention, and I think that's going to be positive, Paul, because I know people will agree with us on this when they see all the facts about it.
Dave in Canton, Ohio. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hello.
Hey, Dave.
How you doing? I was on a little earlier and I got cut off, and I was asking about the possibility of limiting Trump's pardon powers.
Well, it's already limited to he cannot pardon against state crimes. I mean, that's the giant loophole that could be used against Trump, isn't it, Congressman?
Yes. In fact, one of the interesting things that came out of a discussion I had heard in the last 24 hours was, when you look at, for example, the interference with elections that happened, if the Trump administration won't do anything about it, perhaps individual election officials or secretaries of state or whatever the structure is in a given state, one of those 37 or 39 states that were hacked into, they should have a legal recourse and ability to go after it. So I think the president does have somewhat of a limited pardon, but we can be creative and find other ways to make sure that we're still getting to the truth and getting the results we need.
Leslie in Central Square, New York. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hello?
Leslie, you're on the air.
Yes. I wanted to talk about a couple of things quick like here. In 1996, I think it was, Bill Clinton signed a law into law with Newt Gingrich with the Communications Act. I can't name it right now. I assume you guys can.
It's called the Telecommunications Act of 1996, yes.
Yes, exactly. What that did was it took away our freedom of the press. We have no freedom of the press because of that law, okay? And Democrats have never done nothing about it after that, okay? And it's been 25 years or more. No, there's no freedom of the press. You got 6 conglomerates, and they trade information back and forth all the time and stuff, and I don't believe that's legal either, okay? This is very terrible. This is the stuff that makes America work, and we don't have a free press. We don't.
Well, let's get Congressman Pocan's thoughts on this.
Well, I think, Leslie, I agree that there are some concerns on how the corporate media covers things and doesn't cover things because, trust me, we've often tried as a progressive caucus. We have rallies and press conferences with lots of people, and they never get covered by the corporate media because if that's not selling detergent during the news hour, it may not get covered. And I think some is explicit. They don't cover things because of who their advertisers are or who their owners are. I'm a journalism major. I still believe there is a good amount of freedom of the press. However, there are certainly challenges out there. And if we have something like the net neutrality law change, I think that's an attack on that freedom of press. And there's other things that could happen as well, especially in an administration that treats the media like they do, trying to demonize them in order to get their agenda done.